England back in action tonight against Malta in the Euro 2024 qualifiers. So we have to go through the squad. It was announced about a week ago, the team that was called up for the senior squad. And there's a lot of notable or noticeable exclusions, so to speak, because they've suffered with what Man United are suffering with, Man City are suffering with, and Newcastle are suffering with injuries. There's no James Maddison, there's no Levi Colwill, there's no Jude Bellingham, there's no Lewis Dunk, there's no Callum Wilson. And so, because of that, we've seen a whole host of young players called up to the squad who are getting their opportunity. And today, I am going to be ranking them on the tier list system from 100% down to should not be going. And before we get into that, please make sure to like and subscribe. We're on 84 at the moment. Let's get to 100 by Christmas. 16 subscribers away. Let's do it. Let's make that happen. Now, England squad. It's looking actually kind of sparse in a way. I don't know what it is, but looking at it, it just doesn't look really that deep. I know it's the right amount. I know it's the correct number of players that have been called up, and anyone who's been injured, we've replaced. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm looking too into it. But we're going to go through this squad anyway and just make our decision on whether they should be going to these matches against Malta and North Macedonia, or whether they should have been left at home. Starting off with Kyle Walker, who is 100% should be going. Still England's best right back, still Man City's best right back. 33 years old and he's still playing the way he is a testament to how good of a player he actually is. Stats-wise, he's actually been quite good for Man City this season. I believe it's something like 17 tackles attempted. He's won 9 of them, 9 blocks for the club. He's statistically been one of their better players defensively. City are top of the league, so I see no reason why Walker shouldn't be going. Next up, Kieran Trippier. Again, 100% agree. He actually has 20 blocks for Newcastle this season, and we've seen how good he is not only at the back, but going forward. If you recall back to the 8-0 victory over Sheffield United earlier this season, Newcastle benefited from Trippier's creativity massively, almost like a Trent Alexander-Arnold role, who we will get to shortly. But for me, Trippier is 100% going into the squad. No guarantee starts on the right, maybe as a left back. There's no Levi Colwill, there's no Luke Shaw, there's no Ben Chilwell. So maybe we'll see him shifted over to that left-hand side. Who knows? Next up, Sam Johnston. I put him in passable last time and nothing's really changed. He's actually not been too bad this season. Palace have been a bit up and down, up and down. In terms of a third choice keeper, I have no issue with that. But, and there's a caveat to this, there's one player noticeably included and one player who's noticeably excluded from the squad. And we'll get onto that now, and that is Aaron Ramsdale. I still make the case. I think he's possibly England's best goalkeeper. Pickford provides something different. His distribution's incredible. And while I do think Ramsdale is very good, I'm going to put him in passable for now, for the simple fact of he's not playing for Arsenal, and Nick Pope has been better. So if we take a look at the stats for a second, so Jordan Pickford has a 64% save percentage. This is moving on to Pickford, who again, it's tricky. It's tricky with Pickford. Do I put him in passable? Do I put him in agree? I'll say agree because I think he has been very good for Everton this season. Despite, they've actually picked up their form quite well. Ramsdale, while I do think he is the better keeper, I'm going to put him in passable because he's not been playing. When he has, he hasn't looked great. So maybe I'm talking myself out of it. Maybe Pickford is the better keeper. It's a bit of a topsy-turvy situation. But right now, I just want to make the case for Nick Pope. So taking Pickford's stats, he's got a 64% save percentage. He's expected to concede 1.33 a game, which is what he's actually been conceding. He's been performing to the level that has been expected of him. He's faced 47 shots and he's saved 30. That's solid. For an Everton side that come under a lot of pressure, that is decent statistics. However, Nick Pope, he's got a 73% save percentage. Now, there are going to be people who say, well, Everton face more shots. Newcastle are a better side defensively. Newcastle have been ravaged by injuries, and there's no Sven Botman. And because of this, they've actually faced 48 shots across the season, which is one more than Everton. But Nick Pope has saved 5 more. So while Pickford is still a good player, and if you were asking me just for these upcoming matches who I'd be dropping, it would probably be Johnston, because I'd have Ramsdale as maybe the third, Pickford second, and then Nick Pope as the first, or any way you want to shape that. Nick Pope deserves to be called up. He's actually been a solid player. He's been in the Champions League this season, which is vital experience. Ramsdale has not been making any Arsenal starting 11s. There's all the turmoil surrounding him. He's going to be a bit rusty, I think. Yes, he'll be training, but he's not playing. And while I do agree with the choices that have been picked in the sense of they are good, Nick Pope is just sat there and deserves the opportunity as far as I'm concerned. Next up, Harry Maguire. Ordinarily, I'd say should not be going, but there is a bit of an injury crisis. There's no John Stones, there's no Levi Colwill, there's no Lewis Dunk, but I'm still not convinced. He has had a few decent games, Brentford being one of them, for example. The Copenhagen match, he looked okay in that game, or good even, you could say. He's still not good enough for the quality that England need. And just because there's a crisis doesn't mean he should just automatically be called up. I'm putting not convinced only because of the injuries, not because I think he's gone up in his ability this season, if that makes sense. Next up, we have a debutant, which is Rico Lewis. And I actually agree with this one. 18 years old, and for City, he's looking the part. He looks decent defensively, looks really good going forward, and he enjoys that inverted full role, similar to Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I know the City fans have been piling praise on him this season. From what I've seen, he looked good and he looks like one for the future. Get him some international game time while he's still at this age. And it's fantastic that Southgate has finally called up someone who we're excited about. I mean, yes, he's done it in the past, but in the past few months, it's sort of stagnated a bit. Another defender, Ezri Konza, and I say Kwanzaa then, sorry, Jarrell. He is from Aston Villa. I agree. I think Aston Villa this season have been fantastic. And if we go back to the stats, Konza actually has not looked too bad. I don't have Konza stats. Why have I not got Konza stats? Thought I had Ezri Konza stats. I'll put some Konza stats on the screen for you guys. But yeah, from what I've seen, he looks good. A bit of a surprise call up. I never really expected him to be one of the ones picked for this team, despite even with the injuries. Overall, though, I agree. Villa are flying high at the moment. Defensively, they've looked solid. I see no reason why he shouldn't get the game time. Not a lot to say, but if anyone wants to comment on him, tell me anything that I've maybe missed or anything I've sort of neglected, let me know in the comments down below. Next up, we have Declan Rice, and it's 100%. Arsenal's arguably best player this season next to Bukayo Saka and maybe Martinelli. Rice has been fantastic. And there's actually a bit of a Rice links into an argument that I'm going to make shortly. But Declan Rice, for me, has been Arsenal's key player. The fact that he's around 100 million and we're not speaking about it is just a testament to how good he's been. Defensively, he's been solid. Going forward, he's looked absolutely amazing. His range of passing, his ability to change from the 8 to the 10 to the 6. He's very versatile, and Southgate benefits from having that player massively. He tends to play deeper with England, I feel, which is not a problem. Because he's playing deeper, certain players should not be in this squad, like Calvin Phillips, should not be going. He doesn't play. He still is not playing for Man City. Even when Rodri was out injured, he played one game and he was dreadful against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. There's no reason he should be going. He's only featured 4 times this season, and on average, he's getting 22 minutes a game. No reason for Phillips to be going. If it's for that defensive depth, you have Declan Rice there. You also have another player, such as, if I can find him here, Conor Gallagher, who I have changed my tone on massively. Him and Rice make up enough ground and have enough sort of defensive nous to be able to cover for Phillips. He's not needed for the squad. Conor Gallagher's running stats and overall play this season have stood out in that Chelsea team. And earlier on in the season, when I did my earlier tier list, I put him in not convinced. I have completely changed my mind because watching him play, the way he's been playing for Chelsea, he had 95% pass accuracy in the Man City game. I think he's covered more ground than any other Chelsea player. He plays with intent. And I did say earlier in the season that he's an energetic midfielder whose job is to win the ball back. He's done that this season, but he's made it look effortless at times, and he will run more than anyone on that pitch. And I think that's what Southgate's going to want in that squad. So why can him and Rice, who defensively are looking quite solid, not cover for Calvin Phillips. So if we look at Declan Rice, he's on 2.11 tackles per 90, 1.32 interceptions, and 4.12 ground duels won. That is good numbers. He's in the top percentile for a lot of these things. And then you look at Conor Gallagher as well. I mean, his passing stats alone, I'll put him on screen here, really just elevate him above Phillips. There's no reason. I understand they're different players to an extent, but for me, Rice and Gallagher have enough between them to cover up for Calvin Phillips. Next up, Mark Gahey. I'm going to put him in agree. I do think he's looked good. He's definitely a better passer of the ball than I think he is a defender. In terms of his clearances this season, I think he's on something like 5.01 per 90, which is astronomical. But of course, he's playing in a Palace team which is going to soak up pressure and have a lot thrown at them. He's a good player, good ball player, which is what Southgate looks for. With the injuries, I don't see us playing a back three. And I'm just thinking, is he really going to start in a back four over Maguire, over Tomori? I don't know. So I agree with him going, absolutely, taking into account the current climate with the injuries. And I think he's an overall good player. For Fikayo Tomori, I 100% agree with. I think he's been massively underrated during his time at AC Milan. He looks the part for England as well. He looks solid. In the last games against Australia, he was okay, but Italy, he looked good. I see no reason for Tomori not to go. Cole Palmer, I 100% agree with. He's one of the players who's benefiting from the injury crisis. Chelsea's best player this season. I've seen a lot of different shows and podcasts saying that Cole Palmer's been the difference for them. He's scoring goals. The Man City game, he was fantastic. The Arsenal game, he was fantastic. He's turning up in the big matches. He plays as that attacking midfield role, but there is moments where he does go out wide. There's other moments where he goes as sort of like a false nine through the middle. He's versatile, and it's great that he's actually getting his opportunity in the squad. Next up, Jared Bowen. Again, I 100% agree with. For West Ham, I think it's something daft, like he scored in 6 consecutive away games. That's pressure. That's pressure situations. And this season, he's been far and away one of the better players in the Premier League. He looks superb. He's finding that ability to get in behind players. And when we've got passers and providers such as Trent, again, I 100% agree with. It just makes you think that he's going to get opportunity after opportunity. And we saw that in the last games, actually, against Australia. He gets in behind and squares the ball across for Ollie Watkins. He's found his feet. He signed that new long-term deal at West Ham, which I think's calmed everyone down a bit. Maybe it's settled him slightly. For me, Jared Bowen, nailed on. Trent, same again. Midfield role this time round, same as last time. We don't have a massive amount of depth defensively, and I don't see him. And even then, I don't see him going into that right back spot. I think he's too good in the midfield for England to consider dropping him that far back. And when we've got Trippier and Walker, one of them can play there. Trent, for me, should start in midfield in like a double pivot, providing long balls and passes to the likes of Jared Bowen, to the likes of Ollie Watkins, who again, 100% because of his form. Trent is able to provide something that no one else can. He is the best passer in the England squad. Defensively, of course, he's not the best. He's actually quite poor at times. But with someone next to him, like a Declan Rice, for example, he's got that double pivot and extra support in midfield. So if you played Conor Gallagher, Declan Rice, and Trent in that midfield to start with, and then you've got players who can come into it, Foden can drop there. Cole Palmer is another one. You've got options in midfield, and that's something we're very lucky with, despite there being no James Maddison and Jude Bellingham. One player, Phil Foden, I agree. I don't think he's had his best season. He's definitely not had his worst, though. City he still has moments where he's just unplayable. But City, attacking wise, it feels like everything at the moment sort of going through Haaland slightly. Foden has still been brilliant this season, don't get me wrong, but I'm not looking at him thinking you are the man. And even for England, does he start? Arguably not at the moment. I'd actually, in some respects, make the case that I think Jack Grealish has been slightly better. The different player. Foden can score a goal, and like I've said, he's not been bad. He's actually been really good. But Grealish, is the better. He creates those chances. He's a better. How do I explain it? He's got better shot creating actions. His overall passing into key areas is better than Foden, I'd say, and Grealish as well is one of those players who will win you a foul. He'll in a dangerous spot, and when you've got set piece specialists like Trent, like Kieran Trippier, that's dangerous. Overall, I just think Grealish has been slightly better, and that's why he's getting 100% and Foden isn't. I agree. I do think Foden should go, definitely. It's still the I agree category, but I just, it's difficult to say, really. Jordan Henderson should not be going. We've discussed this before. How Jordan Henderson can go in this team, but no James Ward-Prowse, as we've spoken about before. And once again, we'll refer back to the stats. So if we look at James Ward-Prowse, he's on 7 goal involvements this season. That's 2 goals and 5 assists. 2.61 key passes per 90, 7.1 crosses per 90, 2.15 successful crosses, and then he's in the top 72% for successful passes. Now, that doesn't sound great, the last stat, but he's in a West Ham team which are not expected to win every game. And he's still been fantastic. And if you bring in Henderson into this team for leadership, you've got Kyle Walker, you've got Kieran Trippier, you've got Jordan Pickford, you've got Harry Kane. Henderson does not need to be there to provide that. If it's because he runs in midfield, you've got Conor Gallagher covering more ground than I think Henderson ever did in an England shirt. If it's for creativity, Henderson doesn't offer that, but James Ward-Prowse would. Trent does. There's no reason for Henderson to be in the team, and I love Henderson. I absolutely love him for what he's done for Liverpool. But there's no reason for him to be in this England team, and I would not be surprised if there's boos coming again this weekend. Next up, Harry Kane, the best striker in the world. You can say Haaland, and to an extent you might be right, but I think Kane's been better. 17 goals in 11 games for Bayern. I think this season or something stupid like that. He just looks fantastic. The goals he's scoring, the halfway line goal, he's scoring every type of thing imaginable. His overall contribution to the team is superb, and his England record is fantastic. He's our penalty taker. Yes, there's moments where he does go quiet, but he's one of those people who can have a bad game and still score. Kane's nailed on 100% every time. Best striker in the world for me at the moment, personally. Marcus Rashford, I'm not convinced. It's not a United bias. It's just if you're saying to me that Marcus Rashford is going, but Raheem Sterling isn't, again, we'll refer back to the stats. So I'm going to talk about Raheem Sterling. He's got 4 goals this season with 5 goal involvements. Rashford has 1 goal, 2 goal involvements. That's 937 minutes played for Marcus Rashford with 1 goal and 1 assist in the Premier League. On top of, and that's 937 minutes per goal even in 11 games played. Sterling has been miles ahead of Rashford this season. I don't see what Rashford offers. We're not a counter-attacking team with England. We keep possession. And right, he was fantastic against Italy. I will not take that away from him in the last round. But since then, Sterling has got better and better. Rashford took that form and did nothing with it. Sterling is the better player. He's the better attacker. And I think he just offers more going forward, not just for Chelsea, but for England. And Bukayo Saka, I would, he's 100%, but in the same breath, I'm sure he's injured. He came off the Sevilla game. I'm going to say 100% because of how good he is, but he is injured. There is a knock there. And again, Southgate's persisting with taking him, even with that injury problem, over the likes of Raheem Sterling. So Saka is, I'd argue he's bordering on world class. Maybe he is already. He's one of the best players in Europe. But if he is suffering a knock, there's no reason why he should be going and risk longer injury. Is he even going to start for England? I feel like Jared Bowen's going to start on that right-hand side. And then you've got Cole Palmer who can also play there. Foden, Grealish, Rashford. If Saka's injured, there's no reason to be risking him. Give the opportunity to Raheem Sterling. And that is my squad. So as you can see here on the screen, in the 100% category, we've got Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier, Declan Rice, Conor Gallagher, Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, Fikayo Tomori, Cole Palmer, Ollie Watkins, Jack Grealish, Jared Bowen, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. There's a lot of 100% in this category. Then you go into the I agree column. We've got Jordan Pickford, Rico Lewis, Ezri Konza. I keep saying Kwanzaa. Ezri Konza, Mark Gahey, Phil Foden. Passable, we've got Sam Johnson, Aaron Ramsdale. And then in the not convinced, Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford. It's not a United thing, I swear. And then should not be going Calvin Phillips and Jordan Henderson. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And remember to like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next video, which will probably be tomorrow, actually. So we'll see you then.